Think in a territory where what happens on stage evokes a meditational kind of emotions and thoughts, but for someone that has never seen it is like a silent theater that has a great deal of physicality hidden underneath the actions. It's not very aggressive or it's not very action-based. But humans and objects interact and create landscapes of images. So maybe it is a hybrid of performance art and contemporary dance or physical theater. I don't really know. I was trained as a very traditional painter, so I was trained to see, and this is a way of living and experiencing life. And the tricks of seeing, of the human perception through the eye, are interest me a lot, and they somehow explain a lot of the mysteries of life for me. So this is who I am, and inescapably, when I work for the stage, I work through this filter of being able to see as a painter. I experimented with the medium of live shows. I don't like to call it dance, out of respect of choreographers. And I found a territory where I thought that my visual work was better. So the stage for me is a canvas that I can paint better than on the actual canvas. Looking back, I see that there are two ways that I dive into chaos. One is preconceiving and pre-directing a show, and then selecting a group of artists to execute what is very strongly perceived as a concept before the action. This is something that I have been doing a lot, especially in large-scale shows, which I don't like doing anymore. And the other method, which I inclined the last 10 or 15 years to prefer, is collecting a series of ideas, instinctively selecting a group of artists, and then entering a workshop where soon it becomes completely chaotic, and soon my initial ideas prove to be completely ridiculous. But through the process of exploring, I detect some details that interest me, and I try to blow them up, and I try to dive into those details and explore them more. And if I'm lucky enough, I collect a series of chapters of details that I can rearrange and compose into a theater piece. So this seems to be the method, but actually there is no method. I take the risk of being responsible of the ideas, and I do need collaborators in its separate departments. I do need a collaborator for lights, and I do need a collaborator for costumes. I don't have the technical knowledge to be a fully professional on its department, but I do sketch, and I do have. It seems that I am this kind of person that has very persistent ideas about things, which is very annoying, but that's my nature. So I do all that, and I have been doing it throughout, I don't know how many years, 30 years I've been working. So usually do that. I ended up realizing that the archetype image of Sisyphus carrying a rock internally could work as a vehicle for all these scenic elements I wanted to combine. So it's not the myth of Sisyphus that was the beginning of the exploration. The myth of Sisyphus came after I started composing the elements that seemed to be interesting, and they appeared to be about that, about the eternal struggle with the matter, with weight, with every day trying to construct the meaning of life, which is an existential story in the end. It seems that art is a space where questions can be raised and ideas can be formed that cannot be formed in any way in any other territory of human exploration, like philosophy or in science. Although art is a kind of philosophy, is a kind of raising questions about life. So the artist, I don't know how important the artist is, but the art piece is very important as a collective experience of trying to understand what life is and what humans can make of their own understanding about life. Some say that art is a political thing, and I am sure that it can be, but what we label as political art, I think is degrading for art itself. Every human gesture in art can be perceived as political, but I think the perception of having a socially useful art is very dangerous for art itself, because art includes the darkest parts of human soul, and it should stick there and not try to be constructive or positive or didactic in any way. So in your question, in this subject, I think art is mysteriously useful in trying in the collective consciousness of human existence, in trying to understand what the hell we're doing here in our physical life. But and also some aspects in some historic moments, art can help society move towards the next step of evolution. But I think the less art is aware of that, and the more artists are concentrating in exploring the mysterious questions of life, the more useful it becomes. Generally, art training, not only information, but also training in formal education, will create escape windows for the human, for the individual, as we are trying to form a social personality. Creating those windows for chaos and self-expression makes I think will make the picture of life more complete, because more and more, as we are overly educated and informed in order to be able to cope with modern society, we tend to forget the chaotic and the pleasurable experience of not knowing what we do, and being aware that there is an army of humans, the artists or the scientists as well, and the explorers, that achieved interesting works for the human civilization by not knowing, but willing to dive into the experience of chaos and not knowing what we're going to do and what is worth doing. So I think this link is very important in forming personalities. That's why I would very much like to be trained growing up like that, including performing arts, and as an experience, not only as history, not only as information, but as an experience of attempting, of taking classes, of being part of exposing myself and exposing myself to the unknown. It's very interesting because it is a completely different form of expression. This is not art. These are big advertisements for cultures in an enormous scale that use artists and use art in order to convey a show that has to include a positive perception of a culture. So there's no room for irony, there's no room for self-criticism, there's no room for doubt there. But what is very interesting is how to handle hundreds of thousands of people, and how to handle a vast space, and how to try and create something that is both vibrant as a live event as well as an event that is being transmitted through television. So for me it was an enormous exercise of means, and even though both experiences were extremely painful and long-lasting pain, I am very proud to have attempted to achieve a sense of intimacy and emotion in a vast space, not to mention that those two chances have given me the financial freedom of being able to do my experimental work and not expect to survive.